the queen excluder off this hive to set an escape, and uncovered some drone brood. And sure enough, there's a mite. It's that time of year. It's about 25% humidity and 86 or 87 degrees in here. I may be drying this honey down too much. I need to get it extracted today. If it gets too dry, it gets really thick and sticky and hard to come out of the comb. How hot is it, Parker?
Oh, it's whatever.
Like a million?
Yeah.
Boy, it's like 8:30 or 9 in the morning. It's just brutal. The humidity is so high. It's supposed to be a heat index of 107 to 110 today. Crazy. In this yard, setting escapes and dealing with problems. First hive, barely queen right. Don't know if the queen's good. You know, she could be new and they're just hungry. So condense them down to a single box, put all their brood down there. And this one is laying worker. I'm trying to get all the bees out of the top box and into the bottom, and then I'll combine it with this one. This one's laying worker. I tried to requeen it with a virgin. I guess they killed her and tried to make their own, and then she didn't come back. And there's enough laying worker brood there that what we're gonna do with it is these boxes that I'm adding back after I harvest honey, like this one's queen right and good in 2 boxes. We're gonna put 6 frames of laying worker in there with 2 feeders and feed them. And then that hive will be complete. So if they've got weight next time I come down to feed, then I can take a feeder out. I wanted to show this queen though. This is a fantastic queen in this hive. Really good brood pattern for this time of year. And she's exhibiting quite a bit of uncapped recap as well. So those 2 things are not mutually exclusive. That is a fantastic brood pattern for this time of year. Bees have been kind of in a dearth and losing weight. So that's good, healthy hive. This yard's been a little disappointing so far. Had several laying workers, and this one's queenless. That one was queenless, that one was queenless, that one's queenless, that one's probably failing. I tried to requeen several in here with cells. They just had poor takes, really poor. So we're gonna pull out of here for now. We got a laying worker colony here. We'll take it up to the nuke yard and use it up. I've got some hives in there that they could use some comb. I've already sweated through my sweatband, had to turn it around once. It is miserable today. It's supposed to be cooler some tomorrow. By the weekend, it'll be 83 for a high. So we're gonna beg out of here, come back in the morning. Let's go feed some nukes before lunch. Whew. It's so hot I can feel my heart. Feels like it's beating heavy. Hard to breathe, it's so humid. We've been setting escapes this morning, ran out of syrup, so made another tank and figured we'd come and feed this yard. This will put them into 6 gallons. They've had 4, they're about to have 6. I gotta say, these mother load feeders with this style drown prevention is really my favorite. Those are working really, really well, better than I expected actually. And these hives have had 4 gallons. They've almost got this drawn out. They've started all of it, but they've not drawn it out full width. So I was hoping I wasn't gonna need a bunch of boxes of foundation today. When they get complete in the top, completely drawn and get a little weight on them, I'll pull this feeder and then add 2 more frames of foundation and start giving them a gallon at a time. Try to get those drawn out. These bees have a little bit of weight on them, not a lot. The yard as a whole is pretty lightweight. They've got just a little bit of weight. So that's probably gonna put them, they'll need this feeding and at least one more, and then we'll probably drop the feeders. Of course, some of them will need it sooner, some will need it later, but I try to do everything at the same time if I can. All right, we'll go ahead and feed them. Got Parker with me. It goes so much faster with two people. I'll open and assess if anything needs doing, and then he feeds and closes.
I'm the feeder today.
Yep, he's the syrup jockey. The pump got prime, but it had some air in the line, so it's gonna blow all that out. The pump system was working really good. I've been very happy with that. There's some improvements I need to make to it. I want to rebuild my dolly cart thing that I made. Put the hose reel closer to the wheels. And my mixing setup, I'm gonna hard pipe that and have a bypass valve and stuff, so it's easier to transfer syrup without having spillage and stuff like that. So I've got some winter projects to work on. Of course, I'm still working. I didn't get started with all of my 2024 winter projects this past winter, and I didn't get a lot of my 2025 projects done, so those projects tend to build up. So I dug into the brood nest on this one. It's a little bit smaller, and I'm seeing about what I would expect. The queen has just started laying well. That larvae looks well fed. There's a lot of royal jelly in there. See sparkling frame. So we've got some stored syrup around the outside. These hives have only been fed for about a week. So, you know, the queen's had a little bit of time to get going, but not a lot. They're really starting to wake up, and I think we're going to get a brood cycle or two, build populations for the fall, and have healthy hives going into winter. That's the goal. Well, it's 11 o'clock on Tuesday. We finally got this yard finished. We quit about halfway through yesterday morning. It was just so hot for heavy work like this that we went and did some other things. Came back this morning and ran out of syrup with 3 hives to go, so made another tank of syrup, went to an out yard, and just finished this on the way back. Now I think it's time for lunch. This yard has done okay. We missed the June flow here. We got it last year and not this year, but they did really good early in the season. Surprisingly good early in the season. Had no idea they were going to do that good. So, pretty pleased with this yard. There's some good bees in here. I've got quite a few that are going to be empty spots. We had several try to requeen and didn't, or I tried to requeen and they didn't make it. May have had a bad week of weather or something, don't know. But I'll repopulate this one. They wintered well. They built up well in the spring, and they made a good honey crop. You can't ask a whole lot more from a bee yard. Just downloaded a scale hive out of curiosity. We were working a yard this morning, and actually have worked, how many yards have we worked today? We've been in 1, 2, 3, 4 different yards today. And I was seeing nectar, not syrup, nectar in the brood area. Like they're backfilling the brood area with nectar. And, you know, you could taste it, and not exactly sure what it is. So I downloaded a scale hive, and sure enough, they've picked up like 15 pounds in the last 14 days. So just a light flow, but something's coming in. I don't know what it is. The only thing I would expect it to be this time of year is Dutch white clover. But we don't have a good clover bloom this year. So who knows? I'll take it. the queens are laying good because they've got a little bit coming in. They've still got pollen coming in, which in most years we're in a pollen dearth at this time. But we've had so much rain this year that I think it's going to be a summer where we don't have a pollen dearth. So that's good. Looks like we've got a little bit of frostweed just getting started. So this is frostweed. It's pretty closely related to wingstem, but it is different. Wingstem, of course, has got a yellow blossom. Frostweed is white, but in the fall and winter, when we get freezes, when it gets really cold, moisture comes out of the roots of these and you'll get hoarfrost on the stalks. That's why they call it frostweed. Pretty neat. It's beautiful in the wintertime. There's a Gulf fritillary. It's one of my favorite butterflies. So I'm running the honey in the honey house. This is something experience teaches you. You won't find this in a book. When you've got an air conditioning unit into the honey house, I had to cover it with window screen and duct tape it on there because the bees were trying to crawl through the air conditioning unit to get in there. They can smell the honey. I think I did that 2 years ago and that solved my problem. I just have bees appear in there out of nowhere. Had no idea how they got in, but I think they were coming in through the AC unit. So the float switch in the clarifying tank just kicked on. Honey's routing up through that pump. Seems to be working pretty well. This pump will prime 5 foot off the floor, but I had to put almost 16 ounces of honey in the top end of it so the gears would seal, and it does fine now. August the 2nd, we're back in this yard pulling honey. It's Saturday, and we set escapes in here Monday and some on Tuesday. Bees are being pretty robby. But that's to be expected in August in Tennessee. It's just how it is. Snoopy bees everywhere. I don't enjoy robbing season, especially trying to pull honey in this kind of stuff. But bees are doing pretty good. This scheme of pulling everything off of the top 2 and adding another box with foundation and 2 feeders and giving them 2 gallons of feed, you know, they have started drawing foundation on most of this frame and even on the outside frames. So if they start them, that's almost as good as having them drawn. If you leave just foundation in over winter, they'll pick the wax off of it, and then they will not draw it out next year, or they will cross comb it. It'll be a mess. But if they get it started at least all over the frame, they'll finish it next year correctly. So that's working pretty good. I'll put them into 4 gallons, and I think we may go start on the other end of the yard to get the robbers a little confused. It's getting pretty busy over here. So the Nashville area had weather over 90 degrees for 30 consecutive days, and that has finally broken. Yesterday was like 82 or 83 for a high, much lower humidity than we've been having. Today's supposed to be 85. It feels gorgeous out here. It's so nice. Love working in good weather. The The dog days of summer are probably my least favorite time to work bees. It's nice today. I love to see that newly drawn comb shining. That makes me happy. That's a lot of good production there. Just took 2 really full honey supers and a couple of partials off this hive. Got to split out of them in the spring. They're making 6 new foundations now. They'll probably make 2 more. And they're going to overwinter well, I think. I'm going to have to smoke the bees down off the outside of this hive. Looks like they chewed a larvae out and ejected it from the hive. Looks like they've got several that they've done that too. Yep. That could be a bad thing. Could potentially be a good thing. I'll have to check the brood on them, see if they've got a disease or pest or parasite issue, or if they're just really high VSH. We're bailing on this yard. I'll come back and get the rest of the equipment. I've got bees trying to get in every crack, crevice. So we'll be losing robbers all along the way between here and the honey house. We're done pulling honey for the day, so we're back to feed this yard. This is going to put some of them into 8 gallons that we've had. We fed them each 2 gallons and gave them 6 foundations when we set the escapes. 4 days later, when we pulled the honey, we gave them 2 more gallons. And now some of them have drawn out all those 6 frames and have enough weight that I'm pulling feeders. And I've also got extraction going on in the honey house, and I get some frames that just have too much pollen in them to store over winter, like that dark brood comb, you know, the stuff that the wax moth really love. I don't want to store this over winter, so anything that can have a feeder taken out of it, I'm putting 2 of these frames back in. I'd rather get it in hives and let it do some good here than have that pollen mold and wax moth try to get in it all winter. So out of this row, I think we've had 3 or 4 that are going to have feeders pulled. So maybe half the yard's going to be able to have a feeder pulled today, and the rest of them will probably be 1 to 2 more feedings. So I take a frame like this, and that's a good brood frame, but it's got a year or 2 on it. And I've got some that have more than a year or 2 on them. And they've got a bunch of pollen. So by pulling this feeder and dropping these into the center of this top box, next February, these will have brood on them. And I'll do a box rotation, and they will become the second box. There'll be 2 more frames over here. I'll pull the feeders in the spring when I get past emergency feeding time. So there's a high likelihood that these 2 frames being in the center of the box will be sold out of the operation in nukes. That's another reason that I want to take my heavier comb, especially with pollen and stuff, but it's had several brood cycles in it, get it into the center of a box, and then that will become a nuke next year and get sold out of the operation. While I've gotten some use out of it, but it's still good. I want to get it sold before it becomes old. That's the enemy right there. One of the enemies. That's a wax moth. That's a perfect frame for wax moth. There's one getting started there. It doesn't get too bad. The bees can take care of it really easily. These have been on the back of a trailer, open to the air and sun. But dark frames like this with pollen in them really need to go back in hives pretty quick. Or get some Sertan or moth ice, paramoth, or be frozen, or at least cooled, chilled to 42 or 45 degrees. All of those will work. This one, you can see the trails in there. The bees will clean that up real easy, but it needs to get on a strong hive pretty soon. So just got done with this yard. It's looking pretty good overall. I've got a few smaller colonies in here that are overwhelmed with 2 gallons at a time. They can't take it, and they get drowned bees and hive beetle larvae in the feeders. So I have to dump that mess out and burn it, kill all that stuff. This yard was treated with grub X, but I don't take chances on hive beetles. They can really become a problem. And I've got one failing hive up here, so we're gonna take it home, bag it, and freeze it. I could divvy this up, but it's starting to get some hive beetle stuff going on, and the frames are looking wet and kind of fermenty. So I may shake the bees out of here and go freeze the frames, let the bees drift. It's probably a good thing to do. I don't want to give frames that are going to become a problem to a good colony. I don't want to give them a frame that's got 3,000 hive beetle larvae on it. You know, they may be too small to see, but it could be a problem. So I'd rather freeze it, kill it, and kill anything in there before I use them up. So I just blew most of the bees out of this colony, and you look down in the frames, you can see the hive beetle larvae squirming around. So this is a doomed colony. It's a time bomb. Blow the bees out, take it home and freeze it. So we got robbing started in this yard this morning when we were pulling honey. I wanted to get out of here quick, so we just left the bee escapes, and we're stopping by on our way back to the honey house after feeding another yard to pick these up. And I noticed that I've still got robber bees trying to get into hives, and these are strong enough that it's not a big deal, but I'm gonna knock this down real quick. The problem here is almost always that there's some burr comb on the top of the frames, or there's a buildup of wax on the underside of the lid. And this didn't used to be the top box. So top box, I get that cleaned up and straight, and then you don't get this gap. So we'll fix that real quick. So we got robbing started in this yard this morning when we were pulling honey. I wanted to get out of here quick, so we just left the bee escapes, and we're stopping by on our way back to the honey house after feeding another yard to pick these up. And I noticed that I've still got robber bees trying to get into hives, and these are strong enough that it's not a big deal, but I'm gonna knock this down real quick. The problem here is almost always that there's some burr comb on the top of the frames, or there's a buildup of wax on the underside of the lid. And this didn't used to be the top box. So top box, I get that cleaned up and straight, and then you don't get this gap. So we'll fix that real quick. And the problem in this one doesn't look like it's the lid. Looks like it is that frame and this frame. Just knock that A little bit of bird comb down. Now the lid sits flat. No robbing. It's the little things that make a difference sometimes.